Problem number 54. As shown below, rectangle ABCD is divided into two large squares labeled L. So here are the two large squares labeled L. Each X inches on a side. So this side will be X inches. 15 small squares S. So here are the 15 small squares right here, labeled S, each Y inches on a side. So each side here is Y inches. And 13 rectangles labeled R. And here are all 13 rectangles labeled R, each X inches by Y inches. So this part would be X, and then this part will be Y. Because remember, S is Y inches on each side, L is X inches on each side, so R will be X by Y. What is the total area in square inches of ABCD? Now again, we have variables in the answer choices, and if you don't want to deal with variables, this is a perfect candidate to pick numbers and plug in. So we could just say X equals 5, and so instead of saying X, we can just say this is 5, and then Y, we can say, let's say Y equals 1. So the two, and we want the total area of this whole rectangle. So this whole rectangle consists of two squares labeled L. So if L has a side of 5, that means 5 times 5 will be 25. So this will have an area of 25. Just put it up here, 25. And this will have an area of 25. So 25 times 2 is 50. So we're done with the L's. And then S, well, it's Y, each square S has a side of Y. Well, let's say Y equals 1. So if this is 1, that means it's 1 by 1. So each of these S's have an area of 1, all of them. And we know that there are 15 small squares labeled S. So 15 times 1 is 15. So now we're up to 50 plus 15, that's 65. And then what are we missing? Oh yeah, R. X inches by Y inches. So 5 by 1. We know that there's 13 rectangles labeled R, and each of them are, well, if Y is 1 and X is 5, then each of them have an area of 5 times 1. So each of them have an area of 5. So that'll be 13 times 5. And that is 65. So we've done the L, the two squares labeled L. We've done the 15 squares labeled S, and we've done the 13 rectangles labeled R. So all we have to do is add 50 plus 15 plus 65, and we get 130 square inches. So this is the area, 130 square inches. So that's when we have to, the last step is we just plug in these numbers into the answer choices, see which one comes up with our magic number 130. So it looks like these are increasing So in terms of value, so I'm going to just start in the middle here, 2x squared plus 15y squared. So just going to use the calculator. 2 times 5 squared plus, y is 1, so 15 times 1 squared is 15. 65. So that can't be it. It's too low. So these are probably gone too. I'm going to go bigger. So let's try 8. Look at this. 2x squared plus 15y squared. Well, these both have a 2x squared plus 15y squared. So like I could write this, just rewrite this. 2x squared plus 15y squared plus 8xy. And this one is 2x squared plus 15y squared plus 13xy. All I'm doing is just rearranging the order because j and k, I just noticed they both have 2x squared plus 15y squared. So I'm just writing that back to back, just like here. So this is going to be 65 for both answer choices. So one is 65 plus 8xy, which would be 8 times 5 times 1, right? So 8 times 5 is 40. You don't really need a calculator for that. So, and this is going to be 65 plus 13 times 5, which would be 65. So 65 plus 40, do on your calculator, is 105. That's too low. And 65 plus 65 is 130. So the correct answer is K. Again, you can do this using variables, but since this is the picking numbers and plugging in strategy, we're using that strategy. So definitely okay to pick numbers and plug in, especially if you're just uncomfortable with variables. See you in the next video.